everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of May Google Be With You. Believe it or not, this is our last episode of the month. I can't believe what fun we've had geeking out every single day. It has been a blast. And with me to end it off with a bang is my good friend, Ben Pareter, who's going to be helping us out with a little bit of assessment and rubrics inside of Google Classroom.
Hello, everybody. What a way to finish. Rubrics are a fantastic feature in Google Classroom. I think it's an awesome way to finish the month. I think it's a very practical, helpful feature for students and teachers. So without further ado, let's get going.
I love it. And it's a recent brand new addition that has just been added inside of the Google Classroom where we have the ability to create rubrics. Now, what's great is once we create them, we can reuse them inside of other assignments. And so it's well worth that work of creation. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be sharing my screen with you and showing you what it looks like when I go into my Google Classroom and create an assignment, how I can now add a rubric to go along with that. And so it is handy dandy that we can have this assessment built right in. And you're going to see that rubric button as soon as you are creating that assignment. So I'm going to go over to my classwork tab, and I'm just going to start by creating a quick assignment. And we are going to be looking at wetlands protection. So I'm going to take some outcomes from our grade 5 science program where we're going to be looking at wetlands and how humans can actively contribute to the conservation of these areas. Now, of course, I would want to be able to give some really specific instructions. Probably want to come on over to my Google Drive, and here I have a template that we've created where students are going to be able to build a wetland inside of their Google Classroom and be able to talk about how they can help. But what I want to make sure that they understand as part of this assignment is how can we evaluate that as we go. So over on the right-hand side, what you're going to have to do, you have to at least have a title for the assignment for you to have that rubric button kind of activate so you can click it. Once I click that, I'm going to be able to have some options. You can see because I've created rubrics before, it gives me the opportunity to reuse a rubric. Here I'm going to create that rubric. And it opens up this beautiful construction panel where I can start to be able to put some things together when it comes to this rubric. So of course, maybe I want to be able to put my criterion title. So we're going to describes actions to protect wetlands. All right. So here I could give the criterions and description. This can be my ICANN statements that I have directly from the outcomes within my program of studies. I really want to put that success criteria that we've been here to go along with our learning intentions. Now, what I can also do is start to add those levels of that, those different points. You know, what is exemplary, what is proficient, what is approaching, what is beginning. And so in here, I can talk about the points that I'm giving. So I can say this one is worth 4 points on my rubric. I can call this exemplary. And of course, I could give the description for what it is to be exemplary. When I'm ready to add another part of that, I can go ahead now and I can put the 3-level point for proficient. And now, of course, I could go ahead and I could add the description that goes along with being proficient. And we just continue along in this manner, building this rubric as we go. If I wanted to add more criterion, so perhaps it was a larger scale project where I also wanted to have different aspects being able to be evaluated, of course, I can start adding criterion going down as well. So it is so easy. If you have existing rubrics, one of the things that's really nice is you can copy and paste. Perhaps you have rubrics that are already built inside of a Google Doc or inside of a PDF. I can just copy and paste directly into this area. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just say save. Oh, and I have to remove this one because I added it. So I don't, it's like, sorry, you can't save this yet. We're going to go here. I'm going to say save. Of course, I'd probably build this a little bit more. But now this is going to be attached to it. And I think what's really powerful, Ben, is students actually won't see this. They won't actually get this back until after I've returned this assignment to them.
Correct. So you can even go through and be giving feedback, and you could have maybe some criterion filled out in your rubric, but you're entirely right there, Trish. They don't actually see the rubric until you return the work to them. So remember that if a student isn't seeing the work, maybe you have to go through that kind of file organization and return the work to them after they've submitted it before that. But yeah.
And one of the things I do like to do is once I have built that rubric, I do want to make sure that the students understand how they're being evaluated ahead of time. So because they won't see the rubric attached to their work in the Google Classroom until we return it, you might want to consider adding an image of that rubric or in some way showcasing that rubric before they start this assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to throw this under one of our new topics that we've been working on. Ben, you have actually been doing this. You've been working with an entire assessment and technology group here in Edmonton Catholic Schools, which I think is so great. You've done so much work with rubrics, but you've got some great examples of how you've done this, ones that are even more filled out within your Google Classroom that you're excited to show.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the ones that I use kind of as an example is a little more of a fleshed out one for culture and traditions in India. So I've got actually my sample post here, and I'm going to show you what kind of comes after we create our rubric. So you can see right here that I do have the rubric attached in the assignment. It also tells me when I've graded them over here. So let's jump into the assignment and see. When I click on an individual student, I can be viewing their work, giving them feedback, all those wonderful things that we're doing. And down below, you will see your rubric as well. Click on any of these parts to choose where the student has performed or the evidence that they've given you. And then you'll see it fills out the points automatically on this side. Again, I will remind you the student hasn't been able to see this yet because I have not returned their work. It's still in the assigned stage. But after I do return it, which I have done for one of our students here, is we have a great view and the student can see it as well, and it gives them their final score. I'm going to pop over really quickly here into the student view, and I'll show you what it looks like from their side as well. All right, so if I find that same assignment in the student view, I can click on my own assignment, and students see the rubric right below their resources that are attached to the lesson. Down there will also be a great view of any class comments or any feedback you've left them in the private comments as well. And last thing but not least that I want to show you is once you've created these rubrics, you've put in that much work, there is an easy way to export your rubric. I'm just going to go back into the edit mode where Trish was creating the rubric in again, and I'm going to click on the rubric to see it. So I'm just going back to that edit mode. You can click on these three dots here, and you can also export the rubric to sheets as well. That way you have a copy ready to go to reuse in the future as well if you need to. But just remember, this isn't the only way that you can reuse it. After, like Trish said, once you've created it, you can use it again and again and again from Sheets or directly in Google Classroom. It remembers them for you. But that's all I have to share. You can really get some fantastic rubrics, use student-friendly language, and really be able to communicate their performance on an assignment.
Absolutely, I love that, Ben. And I think what's important to note is that idea of co-constructing criteria with our students, making sure they're fully aware of what those different categories, those criterions are, you know, even building that together, and then that's what you can use to be able to create your rubric, making sure it's communicated to them in some way what it is more than just those levels. I do hope that someday the rubric actually is a little bit more visual with inside the Google Classroom, so I can see more of that information that goes along with each one. So I tend, Ben, when you have that one that was all done and that you could see, is actually screenshotting that as an image and attaching that as part of the assignment so that students really understand what each level of that criteria is before they begin the assignment. So many ways we can do this. Thank you for sharing those wonderful examples. We know we're in that wrap up and assessment time of year as we are going through. What is great if you do have an existing assignment that's already in your Google Classroom, you can go and add a rubric now still to it. So if you're still in that process of gathering some of that evidence of learning, you can add a rubric that goes along with it, be able to give your students some feedback. We hope you've had a fun journey with May Google Be With You. It's been an exciting month with everything from assessment and numeracy and creativity and just a lot of fun. So we are excited that you were part of this journey, and we'll be back next year, probably for the return of MTech, if we're going to keep going with that theme. So
I can't wait. What a fantastic month it's been. I've been amazed, and I can't wait to try again next year. I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. Thanks for having me as well, Trish.
absolutely, anytime. Bye, everybody.
Bye.